Welcome to Lyric Lab Poetry and part 2 of a sonnet workshop that started with an exploration of the Petrarchan form and gave you the tools to create your own poem, including a poetry prompt. We're going to continue that work in this second video, looking at the Shakespearean or English sonnet, which developed out of the Petrarchan sonnet. So the Petrarchan sonnet really is a two-part thing. And in the first 8 lines of the Petrarchan sonnet, the poet is expected to find 2 sets of 4 words that rhyme with each other. So 8 words in total, 4 words that rhyme with each other, and another 4 words that rhyme with each other. And that's easier to do in Italian, where there are words, a profusion of words that end in the letter O or A. It's harder to do in English, and that's why the English language, the English sonnet, developed into something else. And I've got an example here from Shakespeare. So let me just grab my laptop, and when I click the button, you will be able to see. I need to grab my glasses as well. You will see what I'm looking at here on the page, on the screen. Let's take a look. So here we have sonnet number 18 by William Shakespeare. I'm going to start just by actually breaking it down into the separate parts. There are actually, the English sonnet is a 3-part thing, not a 2-part thing. That's really interesting. We'll come back to that in a moment. Let me just read the poem. So sonnet number 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So that is Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Let's just break it down and have a quick think about what the poet's actually saying here. Shall I compare you to a summer's day? Well, actually, you are more lovely and more temperate. You know, you don't change as much as a summer's day. But sometimes a summer's day can be very windy. Sometimes it can shake the flowers and the blossom from the tree. And sometimes it's just too short. Other times the summer's too hot and it gets cloudy, and there are lots of things that aren't so great about a summer. So I won't compare you to that thing, because although the summer is fleeting, and here we come to the important 9th line, the volta, the turning point in the poem. Your eternal summer will not fade. You're not going to lose your beauty, the beauty that you own, and you're never going to walk in death's shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. Now this line, eternal lines to time, I guess we could say that what he means here is the lines of this poem, which will outlive the speaker and the object of their desire, because as long as men can breathe or eyes can see, they can read this poem about you, and so long lives this poem and the love I have for you, and it gives life to you. What an amazing poem, and just beautiful. So a 3-part structure, not a 2-part structure. It's more layered, more nuanced than the Petrarchan sonnet, because rather than a question and an answer type of format, what we have is question, answer, and then I suppose a further sort of epilogue or a reflection. You might think of this as, I don't know, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, this 3-part structure. Now, scrolling down, I have highlighted the rhyme scheme here, and you can see rather than the Petrarchan sonnet requiring 4 words that rhyme, you're never required to provide more than 2 words that rhyme with each other. And if you look at the rhyme scheme, A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and then the last 2 lines that rhyme with each other, G, G. And you can see that the word day rhymes with May, 8 and 8, eins and eins, dimmed and trimmed, and we've got this aid sound, fade and shade, oest and growest, and then C and thee. So that is the Shakespearean sonnet, and what I want you to do now is to write your very own version of an English or Shakespearean sonnet. I keep saying Shakespearean sonnet, and I have at the back of my head this idea that it makes it sound old or outdated. It is not. It's a contemporary. You're going to make a contemporary poem of this received form structure. So what I want you to do this time is to make it in order to make it a really contemporary poem, the theme again is love, but let's talk about love in the digital age. So think about online apps and dating, swiping and ghosting. And in the first 4 lines of your poem, you're going to present the reader with the challenge that the speaker faces. Maybe, for example, it is something as simple as texting instead of talking, love filtered through a screen, or the tension between tech and intimacy. There is a contradiction, right? The idea of being close to someone, propinquity, as we heard of in the earlier video in the poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay, this idea of closeness or proximity, but actually it could be that the person you are connecting with is thousands of miles away. This is a virtual love story. So in the first 4 lines, present that problem, the difficulty that the speaker faces. And then in the next 4 lines, I want you to develop that further by exploring the emotional impact of that, the contradiction that the speaker faces, feeling close to someone but not being able to really hold them. And then in the third part, you're going to create a change, a turning point, the volta. Maybe the speaker has gained some new perspective on this love. Maybe it's not going to work out, or maybe they just accept it for what it is. It's a form of virtual love that will never actually be real. And then in the last 2 lines, the way you want to think about the closing couplet, the last 2 lines that rhyme with each other, is a sort of emotional mic drop moment. This is the moment where you provide a clear insight into the overall situation that the speaker faces. So that is your poetry prompt to create a modern version of this received form, and try to employ the rhyme scheme and the meter as best you can, and think about that 3-part structure in the development of the poem that you're going to write. And remember always, as I said in the earlier video on the Petrarchan sonnet, you need to find words that rhyme with each other but also happen to be the absolute right word for the poem. It's very obvious to the reader when you just stick a word in there just because it rhymes. You've kind of somehow shoehorned this word in. We will know that, so make sure in the selection of that word, it just happens to be the right word, but that just also happens to rhyme with the other word that you need it to rhyme with. A real challenge. And one thing I'd say about that, I think it's really important as free verse writers that we embrace some exercises that are rooted in received forms. It helps us to think in a different way. And when we come back to free verse writing, we will then be able to apply some of this knowledge to our free verse poems. We will hear, when without even thinking about it, we write a line that just happens to fall into the cadence and rhythm of the iambic line. So give it a go and let me know in the comments below how you got on. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, again, please do. It's very important to help grow the channel when you click like, when you add a comment, and when you subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that. I'm going to put links below to the Shakespearean sonnet I shared today, and also to these 2 fine modern collections of sonnets, and I'll be back soon with more poetry content.